Hi, Daddy.
Ariel, can you say have faith?
Again.
On June 16th, 2018, a show designed for you, the Daily Commuter, went live. A weekly show all about faith. A show with motivational topics, inspirational stories, and personal testimony set out to change the world.
Hello, my name is Amari, and today we are back on another episode of Have Faith and Let's Begin. Hi, my name is Isabella, and you're listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Hi, I am Mia, and you are listening to Have Faith, Let It Begin.
Welcome to Have Faith. Let it begin. Here's your host, Angel Santana.
Can you say have faith, let it begin? Huh? Yeah. Yeah? Daddy loves you. Daddy loves you. Ariel, can you say have faith?
Again.
Let it begin?
Again.
Say have faith.
Again.
Let it begin.
No.
No? Okay.
Have Faith, Let It Begin, Season 4, Episode 2. No, I know what you're thinking. This is not Angel Santana. You're right. This is not Angel Santana. This is your friend, Dr. Tommy Anelli, who has hijacked the Have Faith, Let It Begin podcast along with his friend, Michael John Benzaia from Hollywood. Michael John, how are you, my friend?
Amazing. How are you? I see you have taken over the podcast.
We have basically hoisted the Jolly Roger, and we have taken this faith ship into uncharted waters. We are basically in uncharted territories. We are in hostile environments. There are space creatures and animals from the sea that are coming after our ship. And I just wanted to say what an honor this is to be with you, interviewing our host of Have Faith, Let It Begin, Mr. Angel Santana. Angel, how does it feel to have someone take over your podcast?
I'm a little nervous because I didn't even know I was supposed to talk right now. I was waiting for my intro.
So what we thought we would do is your two dear friends, me and Michael, we thought for the second episode, and I want to correct you first before we go any further. Couple things we have to talk, some business, some cleanup here, a little damage control. So just so everyone knows, Angel has been he's very gifted in spirituality. He's very gifted with the gift of gab, but the kid can't count to 4. This is really his 4th season, not his 3rd season of Have Faith, Let It Begin. So let's start right there, Angel. Talk to me about your thought process.
I honestly, when I first launched the show, I felt that I was just getting my feet wet. So I really never thought about including 2018 as the actual first season. I felt that by the time I got around to the end of what is really season 1 was my beginning. I felt like I made my stride. So I said, you know what? 2018 is kind of a wash. Let's start with 2019. I've got my feet wet. But you know what? You're right.
Well, let me just say something. There is no preseason in podcasts. So, and I know you didn't listen to me. You had to have Michael tell you before you listen because he's a professional actor and he's our Hollywood connection. But the truth of the matter is 2018 counts. This is indeed the end of your 3 seasons of Have Faith, Let It Begin. Congratulations. And we're going to have great celebration. And this is the first of your 4th season.
Okay. So this is season 4.
Okay.
All right.
We are so honored to be here. Michael is a dear friend of mine, and Michael has been on the CROC podcast, which is basically my podcast for cancer survivors. And Angel is my producer and my co-host. And I introduced Angel to Michael, who's a dear friend and patron of our podcast. And Michael has been giving me a lot of hints as far as, how to be a better podcaster, how to be a better performer, how to be better communicator. And Angel, as my producer, there is no one better in the podcast business than you. Today's episode, which we're going to call season 4, episode 2, is a celebration of you, actually. And Michael and I are going to turn the tables because over the last 3 years, you've done countless interviews. and you have met countless people. You have touched countless lives, and you have made drastic improvements and changes in people's lives. Along the way, you've talked about some of your pretty scary dates in your bad dating stories. You have told us about your fights with some of the major manufacturers, anywhere from Bed Bath & Beyond, Frigidaire is the latest, Kohler is the latest wrestling match you've had. But all kidding aside, at the end of the day, for all of those who listen, and you have a very faithful and loyal to the core, loyal to the bone constituency. You have listeners who absolutely love you, and they should. They absolutely trust you, and they should. And they absolutely have been helped and assisted by your spirituality and by your faith. So, Michael, I'm going to let you ask Angel the first question.
Well, I guess the first question, well, first of all, congratulations on 4 seasons. That is a huge accomplishment to be able to four, yeah. It is huge to get a podcast off the ground, number one. So I guess I would have to start there. And what brought about, why a podcast? Why not some other form? Why was the podcast kind of what you felt divine intervention to kind of lead the way in the way that you would get your message to people and to connect with people?
Good question. And for the record, I did not know you guys were doing this. I was here to record. Too late. The CROC podcast. So I want my viewers to know this is completely raw. So but it's okay. I can do good on the fly. That's what I do.
This is the Half Faith Let It Begin roast. We're celebrating. It is a celebration, Angel.
No, it is.
Answer the man's question.
I am. So
all organic.
Yes. So the best way I can explain it is a quote from my mom. She always said to me that when I was born, all the angels came from heaven. I would then say, she said, you know why? I'd say, why, Mom? And she'd say, because you're so special. Well, growing up, I knew there was something that I had to do, but I didn't understand what it was. And it was until I gave myself up to God and realized that I believed in a higher power, I believed in Him, that things started to happen. And I always wanted to preach. I always wanted to be a preacher, but I didn't feel like I had a calling. And then, of course, you talk to people and they say, well, I saw this and I felt this. I don't think I can identify what it was to be called, when reality was He already started calling. And how did He do that? He gave me the ability to know what my environment was. And I use this term a lot. I'm not a thermometer, I'm a thermostat. And I've learned that I can control my environment. But in order for me to do that, I had to struggle along the way. So a lot of the struggles that I faced, whether it was a huge breakup, whether it was a depression, it allowed me to empower myself to believe and trust in God to put me in a better position in my life. And how that culminated was when I had back surgery. My back surgery, I was given a very low % chance of walking again. And I walked in there and I defeated the odds. But before I got into that surgery, I said, no matter what happens, I've always been a happy person. I will never take life for granted. So years later, depression, breakups, I was asked to preach. I preached. I did well, but I don't think I had the call. But I've always wanted to be a sports announcer. I always wanted to be a ring announcer. I got that opportunity one time. And when I heard about podcasting, I said, wait a minute, I could record something. And instead of having to get people to come together on a Sunday, once a week or once a month or whenever they get called up, I can literally touch somebody's life by them literally pushing a button and selecting whether they want to listen to me. So on my daily prayers, I'm praying. And I said to myself, I don't like to use the word amen when I finish my prayers because I felt like it was a period. So one day I just started saying, all right, I'm done, God. I'm done praying. I'm just going to have faith. I'm going to let it begin. And it hit. Okay. I went, that's a podcast. That is a title. I'm doing a podcast. And that's how it happened.
Beautiful.
And also, Angel, you mentioned that this podcast is almost, I use the word homage, like it's a real sort of it's honoring your daughter, because I think everything sort of came together for you.
Yes.
I put down here that you are almost like a 90-year-old wise man. You're like Yoda, but in a 40-year-old body. I mean, you have been through a lot in your young life. You have been through depression. You have been through issues in relationships. You have been through personal struggles with health and with chronic illnesses. And you, yet through all that, you have taken this wisdom at such a young age, and you're able to take that and then bring it to your listeners. And in addition to that, I think you want to bring Ariel, I would think, into the mix and tell your listeners about how your daughter also inspired you for your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I always liked the name Faith, and my backstory very quickly is that my wife, this is no secret, so I'm not disrespecting the wife, but she didn't want children, and I knew that, and I put that out there to the audience to understand that I had to cope with the fact that my wife never wanted children, and so I dealt with another depression, and I had to go to therapy. And while I was in therapy, I realized that I don't have to be a biological father. I could be a role model. So I started doing a youth group. And while I was in the youth group, my wife started to see the change in me. And I think that, slowly but surely, and a lot of prayer. I never prayed for a child. I just prayed for him to guide me to being in a sense of working with children. Well, I'm doing a youth group from 2016 to 2018, and I find out that we're pregnant. Originally, I was going to name her Faith, but we decided to go with Ariel because my wife loved Ariel. And she's a miracle child. And my vision now on this show, even though it is to change the world and to change someone's life on every episode, this is my time capsule. And this is what I will be turning over. So when God calls me home, she will not be able to forget my voice. She'll be able to live her life through me. And if she has any struggles, like any of all the people that listen to the show, maybe she can realize that her dad is always going to be with her.
Well, this inspiration from your daughter really helps us all as your followers, because, and Michael, I want you to comment on this as well. The essence of Have Faith, Let It Begin, the quintessence of you. When you listen, and again, we're having a major war over the new music and the new voiceovers, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But really, when you guys listen to the old music from seasons 1 to 3, and you hear that beautiful lullaby, and then you hear his beautiful daughter, speaking, he brings her on specifically. That gives this entire podcast its character. It gives it its sort of its backbone, its skeleton. It's what makes it sort of stand up and be different. And I thank you for that. And I wanted to make sure Ariel got recognized in this interview. I think she's very much part of this.
Yeah, it's a very calming entrance into your podcast. It's somewhat almost anointed, to be honest. It's very endearing.
I'm speechless.
You should be.
We did our job right.
We did a good job for you to be speechless, my friend. I wanted to just say also, and I'll have Michael, chime in as well, what he feels from listening to your podcast, because we're both daily listeners. Sometimes I have to binge listen because I may not get to it every day, but the beauty is it changed me. For those of your listeners probably know me because you're so wonderful and you always chat up the CROC podcast to all your listeners. But I really didn't have a good flavor for what a podcast was or what I wanted out of the podcast. And I was introduced to you, and I started to listen to your podcast, not because, I really had to, but I figured I better listen to my producer's podcast to kind of get, some lessons. And I had a dormant spirituality. So I was raised very spiritually. I had a beautiful spiritual relationship with my mother. And I actually had spirituality even before my mother found God. And sort of that, when I use it in dormancy is a really good word because, as a scientist, as someone, who's, I don't want to use the word learned, like I'm this learned person, but read and educated in, the sciences and the classics and all that type of thing. Sometimes you get too smart for your own self and you start becoming, a little bit too inquisitive. And sometimes that faith, which you have to have, and again, faith is our operative word here, sort of waxes and wanes and sort of kind of cools off. And then when I started listening to you, there was something that lit in me. My spirit, the Holy Spirit within me, just sort of got reawakened. And I want to thank you for that. And I think that's one of the things. And I wanted to see if Michael felt the same thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree in regards to spirituality, and it definitely. I don't know if my faith has kind of always been. It goes dormant and then it pops back up, but it definitely reignited it for sure. But I think the biggest thing for me is that it is very much raw and relatable, and every episode, no matter what your experience is, you can kind of tune in and take something from it. So I don't know if that is something. I guess my question also mixed in the mix would be if that's something that you look to do ahead of time, that you say that you do plan this out, but I think you have an amazing way of taking a topic that could be not so specific to many different people and then opening it up to anyone could really pop in and take something from it. Is that something that you're looking at when you are creating content, or where you're choosing your topic or even your stories that I not ironically, but like synchronicity, like they happen to you and then they fit to your story. So it all just works out so finely tuned, like almost divine intervention in a way.
Well, here's the honest answer. I do not script my show.
Really?
Everything is off the cuff. If I'm reading an old sermon that I created, I say it. I said, this is a sermon that I once wrote. I do not write anything down. The way that is something that I used to think that was actually used to be actually embarrassed by that. I used to say, how can I do that? And quite honestly, sometimes I'll do an episode. I have no idea what I just said. Mm-hmm. And then I'll listen to it on the way home. That's my routine. And I go, that came out of my mouth? Like that, I said that? What was I thinking? And where did I come up with that? And that is when somebody that I know that's like a mentor to me spiritually said, that is the Holy Spirit. That is your gift. That is your talent. So I don't script anything. My process is very simple. I wake up, I walk Cody. Cody's my dog. For those of you that don't know, you should know by now, but Cody's my dog. I walk Cody and I have no clue. Every day I get in the car, I go, I don't know what I'm going to talk about. What am I going to talk about? I got to do an episode. Should I launch another episode? Should I do it? I'm never going to get it done. And then I get into the car, turn on the car, and I'll go, all right, then. I got 5 minutes to get to this traffic light, and then I got to get on the highway. Whatever you want me to talk about, just let me know. And it never fails. I never. It just comes. It just comes.
Yeah, I love that. And then you also, which I think you've spoken about before, but you also keep your vessel clean in regards to a higher power being able to kind of, you do the work on a regular basis, if that makes sense.
I do and I don't. And I'm very honest about that. I'm not a guy that opens the Bible every day. I don't read scripture like I should. I don't preach to people. I tell people what I would do. I will never say to somebody, you need to do this, you need to do that. How can I be that person if I don't do it myself? Does that mean I'm right? In some eyes, some views, no. And if I say I'm wrong, then somebody say, well, there's no rules. I was always raised, you follow what you feel and let God let go. And that's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that's also another one of his strengths, Michael, is his humor and his real pedestrian sort of approach to spirituality. He is not pompous. He is not pedantic. He is a regular guy who is dealing with the same struggles that we all do in our human journey, the bumps in the road, his honesty, his transparency. He really throws, any of sort of, any of pretenses, to the side. He doesn't need to keep a certain air about him to his podcast listeners. He's a regular guy, spiritual guy, loves God, struggles. And I think that's the thing about Angel that's so awesome, is that he has a sense of humor about it. So you might go I have had podcasts from Angel that have made me cry and have made me like, think about like my childhood and, all this. And then I've had him talk about how he's going to, talk to the CEO of Kohler and tell him what a piece of crap company they have or whatever. So I just want to say, Angel, that these are the things that you need to be proud of. These are the things that set you apart. These are the things, your honesty, your faith, your transparency, your willingness to open up about some of the things that are a bit embarrassing, right? Things that, you went into a major depression. Tell us about that.
That was a difficult thing. And actually this season is going to be, I'm actually going to go behind the curtain. I've been peeking the curtain. And I touch little things here and there, but I'm going to get behind the curtain this season. It's going to get very deep. I'm going to go deep this season. There's been a lot of struggles. We all do with any relationship. The core of how we got engaged and how buying a ring literally almost caused me to not get engaged. So that's a little sneak peek. But I don't know how you want me to answer that. Like, what do you mean? But give me rephrase the question. I lost my train of thought.
No, I was just actually honoring you and just telling you about how your faith, your humor, your openness,
I lost the whole.
Yeah, but not about Rachel.
No.
Rachel was the keeper.
She was, but as in any married couple, I've dealt with a marriage where I was in a slight depression.
Yeah,
and I'm going to touch base on that. But to answer your question about the word depression, yes, I struggle with it to this day. Yes. I'm a person that was in a depression for 1 year solid. I was a insomniac for 2 years. I still struggle with insomnia at times, and I don't hold back on it. I share it with people because there's just days when you wake up and you just feel like the world is horrible. And that's not like me. You know that. I don't talk like that.
No, but Angel, this is the juice. This is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That's why we love you.
Yeah.
Is because you're not out there being someone who you're not. Mm-hmm. Michael, have you ever been depressed?
Of course. Yeah.
Have you ever had bad days?
Yeah. Anxiety, depression, insomnia as well. Yeah.
That's my point. And when you share that with us and you're honest with us and you tell us how you ask God to bring you back online, how you do that, that's what ignites us. You are a spiritual igniter. You're like a Bic lighter, drowning in gasoline,
But the good ones, not the one.
You are like a human flare, man. You're the torch.
The expensive ones that you got to get on Amazon, not from the 99 cents power store.
So, Angel, this was not so painful, was it?
No, it's pretty good.
We turned a roast into an honor. We basically wanted to take this, and again, we have the benefit, Michael and I, to be able to interview you. I'm sure everybody, all of your listeners, would have loved to have this opportunity, to also tell you something about you or your podcast that inspires them. And we're representing them, and I hope we did a good job.
Well, they will, because this Friday night is the 4-year anniversary. I got to change
Thank you.
4-year anniversary, and it's going to be a live audience edition.
Oh, wow.
So if anybody wants to be a part of it, they just got to email me, angel@havefaithletitbegin.com. The link will be in there, and it's going to be done in a different style. I'm going to record live. We're not going to be live. It'll be more of an intimate setting with anyone who wants to be a part of it, and anybody can ask me any questions. But I'm going to share a very powerful, never been told, never duplicated personal testimony that I think it's time to let the world know. And you're not going to want to miss it, because it's going to be very powerful.
I hope that today that Michael and I were able to sort of stir those creative juices of the listeners to have them think of some questions for you. Mm-hmm. We've already determined that you are the man. We are very grateful to you and your work.
Appreciate it.
And this is where I usually ask you to comment on my podcast. But since Michael is my co-host, I am going to let Michael have the last word.
Nice.
I just want to second what he said. Obviously, it's been an honor getting to know you as well personally, because up to I think a couple months ago, we didn't really know each other, just knew each other via producer client situation. But yeah, I feel that what you're going to speak about on Friday is going to be, I think, somewhat just as large, if not larger, than everything that you spoke about up thus far. I think that moving forward in this 4th season, I'm excited to see it. That's what amazes me, is that you think that you've gotten to the center of who Angel is, and then there's just another layer and another layer and another layer. And that, I think, speaks to, like we've discussed over and over on this podcast, but it speaks to how genuine you are. You allow everyone to go layer to layer to layer. You allow people behind the veil. And a lot of people just allow you to see what they want to see, especially today. Everything is so Instagram. How do we edit it and make it exactly? And then we act like we're being raw. We act like we're being truthful, and we're giving the core of who we are. But you put it out there, clean, messy, all together. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be on this journey with you. And I guess my last word would be to thank you for allowing me to be on this journey with you and to be a friend of yours.
No, definitely. And I want to bring you guys back on where I can take back control. But
Angel, I want to say officially, as of the 2nd, I have given you back control. I have taken down the Jolly Roger. Have Faith, Let It Begin is now back in your hands to sign off.
All right, I will do that. So let me just point out one thing. We got to bring Mike back on the show because something had happened. We did the episode about love.
Yes, I remember.
And something happened. I'm going to leave this on a cliffhanger for the viewers. Something happened on the end after we did that, where you texted me a picture of something that you saw.
Yes.
And we've got to bring that back to the viewer because that's powerful. And I'm not going to share it because they're going to want to tune in. So we got to record for that.
Yes, we definitely.
And I want to label it the message because it was powerful.
And the time.
So you're saying that you want to steal Michael again from me?
Definitely.
We have unfinished business.
But I saved him for last though. But Dr. E and I got put together by a mutual friend, but he came on my show because he just said, I want to go on your show. And I thought it was going to be one of those fun type of topics. And then you delivered one of the most powerful personal testimonies. And I want to bring you back because I think that people want to know, because they still ask, how's his journey? So that's what your back to return to the episode would be, because people want to know more about you in that aspect. They listen to the CROC podcast, but they want to know back on your spirituality and where you've come and how you're overcoming your struggles, if you have any.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do it under one condition.
I know it's coming. I know it.
I want my music back. I want the lullaby music.
I'll tell you what.
And I want Andrew the voiceover.
Okay, we're going to have official vote. I'll put it up on social media. They can choose between the intro, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, I can't have that gum chewing millennial,
I'm a fan.
Lady. I can't do it.
I'm a fan of hers.
I want Andrew. I want the guy. I want that guy.
All right, I guess I'll close this out then, right?
Close this out.
All right. So
before I get us in any
now
more
you're going to
trouble.
see me do my job. So I already had it. All right. So let me. You guys got me off the cuff. So
you have to pray.
I'll do that. But before I do that, this is how I'll close it out.
Okay.
Things happen for a reason. You can't explain it. You can't predict it. And people are put on the right path, and they will have opportunities to open new doors. Whether the doors appear to be locked, you can turn the handle, and you'll find that what may be a struggle eventually will open. New doors open, new beginnings happen. And just because you go through the door doesn't mean that door is the right door. It's what you do when you pass the threshold. It is what you do in life that will allow you the opportunity to make the decisions that will take you to the next level. Today, I want to thank the fact that I was surprised but humbled. And if I have touched the life of anyone, I'm grateful and honored that it was the two people that are beside me today. So I leave you with this. God has a plan for you. He has a choice. He allows us the opportunity to live and breathe. He allows us the choices that we can make freely. It's what you make with those choices. It's what you do with your life that will enable you the opportunity to see yourself the way God has intended for you to be seen. We are created in His image. We have a purpose. Use your talent, use your treasure, use your gifts, apply it to others. Because when you do, that's the magic. That is the process. And it happens by the start of every morning when you open your eyes. May God be with you. May God shine his light upon you, and may he grant each and every single one of you peace on earth. And never forget, have faith, let it begin.
So guys, what are you doing tomorrow night? Yeah, that's right. We're celebrating our 4-year anniversary. Yeah, I finally got that right. 4 years of Have Faith, Let It Begin will culminate in a live primetime edition of Have Faith, Let It Begin. How do you be a part of it? Angel at havefaithletitbegin.com. I'll send you the Zoom link. It's a live audience edition at 7 p.m. on June 18th at 7 p.m. I hope to see you and talk to you, and can't wait to celebrate our 4 years together. Have a great day. See you soon.